What if the parts of yourself you've spent years trying to fix were never broken? What if anxiety, emotional shutdown, and even self-sabotage weren't flaws, but brilliant survival strategies from a younger you who just wanted to feel safe? And what if the key to healing wasn't found in more doing, more striving, but in remembering who you were before the split? This is not just about trauma. This is about why your psyche had to split in the first place and how to return to the wholeness that has always been yours. Welcome, my friends. Today we're going to take a journey not just into psychology, but into the architecture of your soul. We're going to talk about trauma, but not in the way it's often portrayed, not in a clinical label or a diagnosis to carry or a story you have to relive. We're going deeper. We're going to explore trauma as the soul's adaptation to unbearable conditions and how the mind, in its brilliance, chose to fragment itself in order to survive. Because the truth is this: you didn't break, you adapted. And that adaptation, the split in your psyche, was not a failure. It was sacred intelligence. Today, we remember that. The term trauma doesn't tell the whole story. Let's start by challenging the word itself, trauma. It's a heavy word, and for many people, it can feel distant, clinical, sometimes even invalidating. When people hear trauma, they often think of extreme experiences, war, abuse, catastrophe. But trauma is not about the event, it's about the impact. Emotional wounding is a term I prefer because it centers the felt experience. It reminds us that trauma lives in the body, in the nervous system, in the emotional memory, not just in the mind. You could have grown up in a normal household with no visible abuse and still carry deep emotional wounds. Maybe you were never truly seen, or your feelings were shamed, and that can be just as shaping as overt trauma. Another way to look at it is as an overwhelming event, not in objective terms, but in how your young nervous system experienced it. What overwhelms one child may barely register for another. That's not weakness, it's individuality. And when those experiences weren't supported, weren't processed, weren't allowed to move, they became unresolved experiences. They froze in time, and those frozen pieces still live in you, waiting to be integrated. The psyche splits to survive. So what happens when life overwhelms the system, especially in childhood? The psyche does something remarkable. It fragments. It doesn't do this because it's broken. It does this to preserve you. This is called inner fragmentation, and it's the foundation of what we call the shadow. Let's say, as a child, you felt rage, but rage wasn't allowed in your home. It got punished, shamed, or ignored. So what did your system do? It buried it. Not just the emotion, but the part of you who felt it. This is a psyche split, a division in your inner world. One part is allowed to exist, the other is sent underground. And that split, it's not just emotional, it's energetic. It becomes a structure, a way of surviving the world. But the part that got buried never disappears. It becomes a voice in the shadow. a weight in your chest, a pattern that shows up in your relationships until it's met, integrated, and freed. The shadow is not your enemy. Now, here's the part that most people miss. Your shadow is not trying to sabotage you. It's trying to protect you. Every unconscious pattern, every block, every part of you that seems to be in the way is actually a protective adaptation. You didn't develop hypervigilance, people-pleasing, emotional numbing, or withdrawal by accident. These were intelligent responses to a world that, at some point, felt unsafe for your authentic expression. What you call self-sabotage might be a part of you still trying to keep you safe. The shadow isn't a problem to fix. It's a message to decode. It's a younger self, still loyal, still hiding, still waiting for you to come back and say, I love you. You don't have to protect me like this anymore. Why disconnection becomes the default. So many people walk through life feeling disconnected. Disconnected from their bodies, their purpose, their joy, even their loved ones. This is what I call the disconnection response. And it's not a flaw. It's what your system does when it's had to shut down emotions to survive. Numbing out, checking out, freezing up, avoiding intimacy. These aren't character defects. They are survival codes written into your nervous system long ago. You didn't choose them, but you can learn to witness them, hold them, and eventually release them. And here's something important I want to say gently but clearly. As we do this work, there's a risk of turning our pain into an identity. This is where the spiritual ego can form, a subtle belief that having suffered deeply makes us more evolved or more worthy. Your depth of character does not come from your trauma. It comes from your capacity to alchemize it, to rise with more compassion, more wisdom, more love. Don't confuse your pain with your identity. You are not the wound. You are the one who's ready to heal it. Healing is integration, not fixing. Healing isn't about going back and re-experiencing the pain. It's about integrating what was never allowed to fully be. The emotions, the memories, the energies that were locked away. Think of trauma as an unintegrated memory or emotion. It's not something you need to get rid of. It's something still waiting to be metabolized. Like undigested food, it's stuck and it's asking to move again. These are imprints from the past. They shaped how you see the world, how you respond to it, and how you protect yourself. But they are not your essence. They are echoes, and you get to choose whether they keep leading your life. And here's the turning point. When you shift your ego identity, when you stop identifying with the wound and instead identify with the witness, the soul, the spacious presence, the patterns begin to dissolve. Fear releases its grip. Possibility opens. And you begin to feel whole, not because you fixed yourself, but because you remembered yourself. If this message has resonated with you, I invite you now to like, subscribe, and share with someone on their healing journey. And if you feel ready to go deeper into this process, I do offer one-on-one spiritual empowerment coaching to support you in reclaiming your wholeness and remembering your divine self. So take a deep breath, not to push anything away, but to make space. This isn't about fixing your mind. It's about coming home to it. You are not broken. You are remembering. May God bless you all. Thank you.